Are we actually streaming now? Let's find out. Okay, I think we're live now. I'll have to see. New computer, new setup. See if I can get anyone into the chat. New computer, new setup. Let's get myself. I think it's working now. Let's see. So I haven't live streamed in 150,000 years. Let me know. I'm on a totally different. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Thank you, Nuck. Or in French, we pronounce Nuck as Nuck. Okay, so Steam has come out with a small form factor / mini PC. And since I'm now the mini PC guy, and to some degree the small form factor, it's time for me to cover it. I have thoughts. I've watched Gamers Nexus. That's pretty much, I think, the only person that I watched so far. They did a pretty good coverage of it. So let's get into it and let's have a quick look here. So Steam machine, I guess they call it. Ooh, it's leggy. This is a new PC that I'm messing with. It's a laptop and it's a temporary one. So it's going to be very intermediary. How's everybody doing today? I thought it was called Steam Machine. Why you know come up. There you are. Okay, so I'm actually going to pilfer some footage from Gamers Nexus. Of course, all credit goes to them. But they had an interview, Gamers Nexus. They had an interview with Valve, I guess it would be, the company Valve. I don't know if Steam is technically an independent organism but within them. But yeah, so what do you guys think? Hey, Ferdinand, Duck or Duke, and Nuck or Nuke, and Metrono. Hello, everybody. I haven't streamed forever. Normally I used to stream like a couple builds and some game stuff, but I guess I could stream again every now and then. This is big news for me. I don't know how you guys think about it. I'm very curious what you guys think about it. So if you don't know, Steam or Valve, I don't know if they're separate entities, but the company known as Valve, who creates Steam, has announced this. It's a small form factor. It's almost a mini PC. It's a small form factor PC, I'd say. But in some cases, I'm going to actually call it almost a mini PC or a large mini PC because it's not really like a custom build. It's pretty unsure why they won't. Okay. Because it's kind of like an APU type thing. So I actually equate it more with a mini PC, which then starts to get into my realm. Hey, you can't see me very well. It starts to get into my realm, and my realm is it's more the small form factor stuff, more the mini stuff than the small form factor stuff. So I feel like I should cover it. Metrono says, I'm sure why they went with such a low end spec, looking for affordability. So this is going to be my point here. Affordability is going to be key here. This thing could literally die on the cutting room floor. That's not too bad. Let's go. How do I make this big? Theater mode? It could die before it even hits the ground. So here's Gamers Nexus. We'll flip through there a little bit. But I mean, coming through the Steam stuff. So SteamOS is going to be a major win, to be honest, and a major loss. We'll get into that in a minute. Small form factor is obviously great. It's a banana. Bananas range in size. I've had bananas that are like this big, and I've had bananas that are this big. Maybe that's a plantain, and it's a huge PC. Cool and quiet, probably. IO for days, storage, etc. So I've been doing a lot of mini PC stuff, if you know me, and I've been doing a lot of mini PC stuff with a few different setups. I can't show you because my camera's sitting on it, but I've been rocking a lot of mini PCs that are really enhanced. So things like the MSA1 from Minis Forum, GMK T1 Pro, for example, and they come with stuff like Oculink ports, so you can hook them up to an eGPU. I have a 5070 over there of an eGPU. You can get kind of pre-baked solutions. I can bring this over. And this is going to be important for this video. You can get pre-baked solutions like this, which are really small, hook them up to your mini PC, and actually have a very small footprint. Like imagine this with a mini PC on top of it. You're not looking at very large, actually. Let me, I had a mini PC here. This was all supposed to be smooth. But I just cleaned my office and now I can't find it. Anyways, there's a mini PC around here somewhere. Here it is. I covered it with a review unit. So here's a mini PC, for example. This is like not an expensive one from Geekom. I just did a review and just have it. It's got a 1280p or 1380p in it, which is actually pretty capable. And imagine this stacked on top of each other, how small that is, right? This should theoretically outperform the Steam machine, or at least match it. This here. And the cost of this is way less, in theory, than you might think. Like this is like 300 US. This is probably like 300 US. You're looking at 600 bucks, like that there. Now it's not as eloquent of a solution, but it's an option. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? So, I mean, the biggest issue I think here is going to be pricing, to be honest, because there are a lot of solutions out there. I'm going to show you one here. So here's another one, Minis Forum. Let's actually go to the refurbished site. Refurbished. Let me know if I'm laggy or anything's weird, because this is like a computer I haven't used yet for streaming ever. So it could just be like a turd. Everything could be turd. But yeah, so here, let's just pop in here. We'll just go to the Minis Forum. So this is what I use. MSA1 is not right. MSO1, there you are. So this is what I use right now. On and off. I've had it with multiple CPUs. It's a mini PC. It's very small. I can't show you because it's under the camera sitting on it. It's about this big. And it has an Oculink port. And the Oculink you can then hook up to something like this here and get a lot of power. That's one option. That's kind of a little bit more fiddly. I mean, you technically have a mini PC and it needs GPU separate. It's not as eloquent as just, you know, pressing the power button and then you have PC. But there's also stuff like this here. This is a little bit bigger. I have one of these on the floor here. A little bit bigger, still not that big. This one here came with a 4070. Wait, where are we? There. With a 40, it's not that big. Came with a 4070. I put in a 5070, and it has a 7945 HX CPU, HX3D CPU, which is obviously a beast, right? So it'll crush most things. So that's another option, right? You can get something like that. And here's the other one. It's sold out, but these are off in here. An Atom Man, right? An Atom Man. These can be, you know, as cheap as 700 bare bones, 800, and there's usually coupons here. We're looking at about 800 bucks American. It comes with that same CPU, the 7945 HX CPU, which is a monster. It's basically a desktop CPU. Runs out of lower watts, just like the Steam machine over here. And it comes with a 7600 MXT GPU inside of it. And it's going to be around 800 bucks. Once you get some coupons on there, you're going to be looking at about 750 bucks. 32 gigabytes of RAM, which is more than the Steam machine as well. So, I mean, you're looking at, essentially this will outperform the Steam machine. It has probably, what I'm guessing, a very similar raw performance on the GPU. The CPU will crush the Steam machine, crush it. Now it is a little different because there's two chips here. We have mobile and desktop. CPU and GPU separate on the thing. So there are technically two chips in here, but the GPU runs at about 115 watts, which apparently the Steam machine over here is the same. It should run at about 115 watts on the GPU. And according to Gamers Nexus right here, they say 30 watts on the CPU, 30 watts on the CPU. So this, you can actually like basically like TCP lock this to 30 watts, and it is a monster still, or 45 or whatever. And you're going to get way more CPU performance here. You'll never run into CPU bottleneck as a result, like ever. You could do like the heaviest workloads on it. And the GPU, my assumption will be similar. So Metrono says, unless they go for $500 without controllers, I can't see myself buying it. Aaron Eldridge says $800 for the refurb though. Yeah, so because I'm going to talk about that. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. So here you have, you know, options like that. You can get stuff like this, like GMK, eGPU. There's all kinds of eGPUs. This is just one of them. And hook it up over Oculink. It's pretty easy. You literally just take the Oculink cable, which is out of here, or USB 4, but these are Oculink. Plug it in, press power, and you're cooking, right? So they're going to give you more power, right? A small form factor machine. I have an HP Omen 14 liter, which is approximately this big behind me. I got it for, it was a little more expensive. It was 900 American dollars. But it also comes with a 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte, right? So there's a few issues that I see with the Steam machine. I'm gonna call it the Steam Cube, but there's a few advantages. So what are the disadvantages that I see of the Steam Cube? Well, I mean, we'll talk about, okay, the operating system, we'll talk about that after. But the biggest thing I think is going to be the raw performance. So if we come over here into the Gamers Nexus stuff here, so they, again, this is not my content, this is their content, so it's all their credit, but let's come in here. And they talk about the CPU performance. I just don't want to skip it. There it is there. There's a little bit of lag, so it's like every time I click the button, there we go. So the CPU is a 6-core, which isn't a high core count, especially if you're running at 1080p, for example. But they're marketing this as a 4K device, so a TV, plugging it into a TV, using probably loads of scaling. At which point, a 6-core should be okay. And in here, in this section, Gamers Nexus, right after this says, it should be around an AMD 7600 CPU, 7600 CPU, which is more than enough, honestly, to drive 4K or 1440p. It's very capable. It's not a CPU, not a compute monster. Like, you're not going to be running, compared to that, like this. This is a 16-core, 32-thread behemoth. But in gaming, they'll probably perform exactly the same, especially at higher resolutions, 4K and 1440p. 1080p, I'm not sure. Technically, these have very high single core performance, should have high single core performance, which will drive better game single core than something like this, theoretically, but I'm not 100% sure that is. So that's one thing. The CPU, it's okay. I don't see too much of a problem with it. It should be okay. Now the GPU here is where I was like, so let's look at this GPU here. We're going to base this off Gamers Nexus. They're the only ones that I can see so far that have the real specs on it. So let's come here. We'll go AMD 7600. Oops, sorry, RX 7600. See what we got here. They're not going to have Tech Power Up's probably more likely to have the actual specs here. So it's hard to compare because we're looking at, this is a desktop dedicated GPU, and the Steam machine is going to be using something more like this. Where are we? Something more like this, like a laptop SKU. Why does my camera keep moving? It's so weird. It's like an AI camera. It just keeps shifting on its own. It's really stupid. Anyways, it should be, let's go like that, and then we'll go like that. I don't think it can shift too much now. There we go. Yeah, so it's a mobile solution in theory. That's going to have some advantages as well in terms of like TGP as well. But we're looking at 28 CU here. Let's see what we got here. CU. Do they list it? Oops. That's not what I want to do. CU. They don't. Doesn't say. That's weird. Come on, Tech Power Up. AMD RX 7600 CU. Let's let AI do it. If it'll tell us. It doesn't tell us. Why does nowhere tell us how many CUs there are? GPU. There we go. Compute units. So 28 compute units on the AMD RX 7600. This is not the XT. This is the 8 gigabyte. So we're actually coming in below that, right? AMD RDNA 3, 28 compute units. AMD, I believe this is RDNA 3 as well. 32 compute units, so technically more here. Did they tell us anything else here? They tell us 2.45 gigahertz. Technically it's similar. This is a little faster. FSR ray tracing support doesn't mean anything, so they don't really tell you much. So I'm assuming in terms of raw performance, the CPU is going to be it's going to be a 7600 plus 7600, something like that. Probably I'm guessing more like 7600 mobile, right? So let's come in here. We're going to look for that. AMD 7600M specs. Let's see if we can find that now. This one might be a little harder to find, just because, there we go, that's what I was looking for, notebook check. So CU, let's see if they say it here. Compute units. 28, okay, so it is basically that. So this is what we're looking at here. We're looking at an AMD 7600, which is this here. This is an MXT, but it's basically the same thing. And you can see here raw performance around a 6650M XT, and the CPU is going to be basically an AMD 7600. So really what we're looking at here, if you need a benchmark, and you're like, I don't know what kind of performance I should expect out of this thing, it's going to perform extremely similar to this, which I have a review of Lots of people have reviews of this. I've done one. So we're going to be looking at similar performance to this. In CPU tasks like video editing, yeah, the Atom N is better. Obviously, it's a 16-core, 32-thread beast. But in gaming tasks, I think it's going to perform actually very close to this in terms of just raw CPU and GPU, basically. This thing can run Skyrim textures mod, trust me. Yes, okay, so here's the thing. There's going to be a couple of advantages and disadvantages here. Disadvantage is, yeah, it's not that powerful. They're marketing as a 4K with FSR machine with a heavy asterisk on FSR. I've done a review myself of the 7600. I had it for several months. Tech guy, both. Let's just see what my thumbnail looked like, if it even comes up. Oh, I'm not even that popular. Oh, there it is. It's just a thing. It's okay. The 7600 is not a great CPU. Not a great GPU. It's okay. You're going to be using a lot of scaling at 4K. So if you hook this thing up to a 4K TV is probably what they're targeting because it's a TV type thing. You are going to be using a lot of scaling. Like you're looking at performance FSR with other stuff as well. It might have support for FSR 4, which if it does, like I don't know, whatever AMD is going to do. AMD is obviously working with Valve here, right? This is a custom or semi-custom device. So if this thing does not have FSR 4, I'm going to be a little disappointed because FSR 3 doesn't look that good, unfortunately. You can use XeSS, which looks better, but it's not that great. But FSR 4 is a massive improvement. And another thing with FSR 4 is you can crank. Hey, you just asked that question, Snazzy. Shazzy, Snazzy. You asked the same question as I did. We read each other's mind. If it can run FSR 4, it means you can crank the FSR. So I'm a scaling guy. I'm fine with scaling, but it has to look okay, right? If you're looking at FSR 2 or 3 and you're cranking that up to performance or ultra performance, even at 4K, you're going to start to get artifacting and weirdness with FSR that aren't present with DLSS or XeSS. But if it has FSR 4, you can watch like Daniel Owen. Daniel Owen's a good channel. He does a lot of this FSR versus XeSS versus FSR 3 versus 4. He does a lot of that. And he has basically demonstrated that FSR 4 is amazing, right? So if this thing has FSR 4, I really think it might be acceptable to call it a 4K machine. 4K 60 with FSR, because you're going to be able to crank that FSR up to performance, and you're not going to be like looking at a garbage speckly like show of like Star Show or something like that. So I think at that point it will be acceptable. But I do think that some people, I mean, a lot of people are going to buy this, just plug it in their TV. It's a console-like experience. Plug it into your TV, and every TV these days is 4K, right? That's just how they are. But I think there is something to be said about getting this and plugging it into a 1440p monitor or a 1080p monitor. And at 1080p, this thing is going to be fast, real fast, to be honest. It will be very fast. 1440p, same idea. You'll be a little bit of scaling. The CPU will be offloading a little bit more to the GPU, and you'll be able to get by with some very serious 1440p with some mild scaling, I think. So I think for people who are using this more as like a PC, like a gaming PC, slapping it under, a 1440p monitor, which is now, the most popular resolution, I would say, for gaming, I think it's going to be fantastic. 4K, slap it beside your TV. I think there is going to be a large asterisk beside that, just based on it's going to need a lot of scaling. If, as Shazzy said here, if it has FSR 4, I think I would be like, yeah, it's 4K ready. It's not really 4K, like not actually 4K. Some people would argue that and be like, 4K has to be native. I don't necessarily follow that. It has to be able to perform at 4K with reasonable performance, reasonable settings, and reasonable amounts of scaling. And I think it will get there. That was my next point. You guys are right before I say things. The VRAM. So VRAM, 8 gigabytes is actually shit. That just demonetize the channel. It is complete dog shit. 8 gigabytes. 8 gigabytes, you can hit 8 gigabytes of VRAM at 1080p. Straight up. Some games, you turn it up to like high settings, like ultra settings, and you're not going to want to lose a lot of scaling at 1080p, and you'll easily hit 8 gigabytes. Easily. 1440p, it's not that hard to hit 8 gigabytes, even with scaling. At 4K, I know this, and I'm not talking out of my ass because, for one thing, I have the GPU that's in here. This is like, not figuratively, this is probably based on this GPU, the 7600 MXT. I'm guessing this is what this is based on, this thing here. And I just did a mini PC review like yesterday or the day before where I tried 4K on this thing, and it was getting obliterated by VRAM. The other thing that I have here is an RTX 5060 mini PC. 5060 desktop, not mobile, mini PC or small form factor PC, sorry. And it doesn't do 4K. You need so much scaling. You're looking at performance or ultra performance scaling, and you're just cranking it. It depends on the game, right? Like any game from 2023 or before, you're probably okay. You'll be able to get by with 8 gigabytes with scaling and moderate settings. But with this machine here, we're going to be looking at 4K, probably low to medium settings, not necessarily for the performance, but just for that VRAM and a lot of scaling. Again, to get that under that 8 gigabytes of VRAM, you're just going to have to keep dropping it. Settings down, scaling up, then you'll be able to do 4K. So I do find it a little bit weird because it's not unified memory. This is what I'm getting at here. Sorry, I haven't streamed in a long time. Unified memory means your GPU and your CPU and your system and everything, they're all kind of sharing memory, right? So I get myself my handheld here, right, with a 890M based iGPU. This whole system has 32 gigabytes and it shares the memory between the GPU and the CPU. And I can allocate as much as I want, right? Like I set this thing to 8 gigabytes. It doesn't have as much power, so it doesn't matter. But I can set it to 8 gigabytes and I'll never run out of VRAM. Or if I'm crazy, I can put it at 12 or at 14. Your PS5, your Xbox, I think the Switch, don't quote me on that, but I think the Switch also has unified memory. So there's memory in the system and the GPU takes some and the like the operating system and the games both take some and you share it, which means it's technically unlimited. Like as long as you have enough system memory, this memory in the system is enough, you can give it as much as it wants. Look at those AMD Ryzen AI HX3 AI 395 systems that have 128 gigabytes of memory and you can give them like 96 gigabytes. It's irrelevant in gaming, but you can use it for other stuff. This is not that. This is, from what I'm seeing here based on Gamers Nexus, it is not unified memory. It is discrete memory. So the GPU has memory and the system has memory, and therefore it's 8 gigabytes. It's basically this, and you will easily deplete that 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Okay, doesn't 7600... So that's not the 7600, that's the 7600 XT chassis, which they can make a big difference. So I have this here, so I'll come back in a second. 7600 XT is basically the precursor to this. This is the RX 9060 XT, right? This is a 16 gigabyte model. NVIDIA does it too. So NVIDIA does the 4060 8 gigabyte, which is in my PC over here. I have one of those. Then you have the 4060 Ti 8 gigabyte, 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte, 5060 Ti 8 gigabyte, 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte, 9060 XT 8 gigabyte, 9060 XT 16, and then they do it with the 5060, with the 9060. So it's what they do. They make these like very low end ones. It's basically this 8 gigabyte, and then they make a version that's not VRAM limited. And if you watch Daniel Owen, Daniel Owen's a very good channel. He's a teacher and he knows how to present stuff, and he does a lot of that where he's like, let's get a 5060 Ti and a 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte. Let's get a 9060 and a 9060 XT, whatever, 8 gigabyte, 16 gigabytes, and he compares them all. And the same GPU with 16 gigabytes is often massively ahead, even at lower resolutions. So that's one limitation. Let's see. Strix Halo 8060S would have been comparable GPU performance, yes, and it probably would be expensive. That's my only issue with the 8060S. They are AMD is going to charge a lot, whereas this is like a custom solution, and they'll get a discount. Like Valve, usually the way, if I understand right, AMD makes it so that you have to sell a certain number of units, or you're telling them buying a certain number of units. Sorry, so they'll be like, Valve will be like, we will buy 1 million of these chips, and you give us a discount. And AMD's like, that's a contract, it's done. They'll customize it, they'll lower the price. Valve is then able to hopefully make some profit off of that and offload a little bit of that to the savings to the user. And then AMD gets a guaranteed contract, right? They love that. They love that kind of stuff, right? It's guaranteed contract, 1 million units in the banks, on the books. Don't worry about it. Now move on to the next stuff. Just get the units out. So I'm assuming they're going to do that. So that's probably why they're not doing the 8060S. The Sam then says the 7800M, which, yes, I have experience with it, would have been a significant uplift. The 7600M, if you don't know, it's in a few laptops, but it's also in some mini PC eGPUs. So these guys, 1X Player, they make a 7800M eGPU. I've tested it. It's a 12 gigabyte GPU around a 4080 mobile, which then therefore puts it around a 4070, almost a 4070 Super, somewhere around there, desktop. So it's good. It's powerful. Very good. It's 4K. With scaling, that's a real 4K, right? Because 12 gigabytes of VRAM, like I have a 5070 here. It's not the most powerful GPU, 5070 here, right? But it's only 12 gigabytes. But the thing is, the GPU here being 12 gigabytes actually matches the performance of the GPU, because I can't crank my settings up high enough often. You can, but not in most cases. Crank the settings up high enough, ultra 4K, where it's like, all right, now I'm depleting that 12 gigabytes of VRAM, but I'm getting 30 FPS anyways, because the GPU is not fast enough. So this is kind of like right on the cusp of 12 gigabytes being okay. The 7600 MXT would be actually somewhat similar to this, a 5070. It's more like a 4070, slightly slower than a 4070 Super, which is slightly slower than this. So we're looking at, that would have been almost around this level of performance. Not quite, maybe 15% slower than a 5070 desktop, which is very good. And 12 gigabytes of VRAM. With scaling, you'd have no problems at 4K for many years. The problem with those is I think those chips aren't common. The 7800, it's like Alienware had some. I guess 1X Player probably bought some up. Who else owns these chips, right? They're probably out of thing. Will the system have some way to enable FSR4? I'm guessing IC7 that it has FSR4. Maybe. Like it's RDNA 3, right? RDNA 3, which isn't technically FSR ready, but it's custom. So there might be like a little bit of the chip that is customized to enable FSR4. You can run FSR4 on RDNA 3, but you do get a performance penalty. Again, watch Daniel Owen. He does this stuff. It's a good channel. He talks about it, but there's a performance penalty, but there might be a way. Or they just say, screw it. It's not custom, and they just throw FSR4 in and be like, fuck, just deal with the performance penalty. Performance penalty in that the way the algorithm works for FSR, it's not like FSR3 where there's a hair here. It's not like FSR3. FSR4 has to have resources to help it run properly. Kind of why, XeSS, for example, XeSS from Intel runs faster on Intel hardware than on AMD or AMD or NVIDIA, because there's actual dedicated hardware in the Intel chip that allows it to run that algorithm faster. They still let other people use it, but it runs slower. Still good, but it runs slower. Whereas if you have an Intel chip, it runs faster. Same with FSR4. If I run FSR4 on this natively, there's hardware in this. If I understand this, I could be wrong, but if I understand this, there's some hardware in this 9060 XT to allow FSR4 to run fast. Whereas if I run it on this here, it will run. I just have to inject it, like with that source code leak, but it'll have a performance penalty. I suspect there might be a chance of FSR4 being on there. So that's that. Okay, now positives. Let's flip back. I don't know how much the price is going to be. I have no fucking idea. It's 2025, 2026, so everything's going to be $1 million, and this thing's going to be dead on arrival. Let's be negative, Nancy. However, let's play into like good world, where Valve is like, we want to make money off of our operating system. We want you to get into the Steam operating system, and we want you to buy games from us, which is smart. And then they can finance maybe even selling this thing at cost, maybe even at loss, right? Like the PlayStation 3 that Sony had back in the day. And they were just like, fuck it, we're going to sell it at $150 loss. And everyone just went crazy and bought a PS3. And then everyone was buying PS3 games, and they made stonks money, right? Like Valve could easily do that. It's the most popular gaming platform on the market. And they're competing with stuff like Game Pass and that, which will not run natively on here. So you're going to be pulling people away. That's what they want to do. And so if they can do that, they can finance potentially the hardware cheaper. So that's that. Yeah. So the pricing, if it's $700 for the base model, then it's probably going to struggle to sell, right? $700 for base model is pretty hard sell in my opinion. It might sell, but it's going to be pretty rough. I think they should price it at like $599 for the top. It depends how much the storage is. I mean, it's tough with pricing these days, but like $599 or something like that. Like then you're competing with like PlayStation 5. At which point it's like, are you going to get a PlayStation 5 or are you going to get a Steam machine, right? And yeah, the PlayStation 5, especially the Pro, will be faster, but it's not a Steam machine, right? So I think 700 might sell. If it's higher than that, there's no fucking way. If it's like 800, like 799, 899, which I could see them doing, it's completely dead on arrival. Like $900 would be crazy, or 1,000. Like who knows what they're going to do these days. It's possible. 512 gigabyte for $499, 2 terabyte for $699. See, it could work, like, because it's upgradable storage, right? I don't know. Gamers Nexus again is here. They talk about BIOS and modularity somewhere here. I mean, it has an SD card reader, but somewhere in there they point to the, I don't want to like pilfer their video. I mean, it's their credit. You should watch their video, to be honest. But at some point, there's a thing. It's modular storage, so you can upgrade it. So people would buy in at 512 and then upgrade it themselves. The only problem nowadays is we have RAM prices and SSD prices are just like, so that becomes a little bit of a losing prospect for the consumer. So some people might just be like, screw it, we're going to buy, like just going to buy the system or whatever. So like 2 terabytes these days is still probably sitting at about 100 to 120 US. It might go up with this chip shortage. Hard to say. Sodium RAM is big. Yeah, actually, sodium RAM. Sodium RAM also means it's going to run slower. Sodium being memory kits, just so people, not everyone knows what people are talking about. This is sodium memory, like laptop memory, which is common. This is not uncommon. My mini PC that's sitting under there, my desktop-y thing here, this has an ITX like desktop motherboard in it, and it runs sodium. A lot of these new socketed chips use sodium. Lenovo Legion Tower, a full Legion Tower, which I, for some reason, haven't published the video. It uses sodium memory. It's like a straight up desktop, but it uses sodium memory. It's a new thing that they're doing, like, because they can put socketed chips. It's a ball grid array chip. So the chip is actually on the motherboard. You can't take it out. It's not a socketed chip. Sorry, it's a soldered chip. So it's not going to have a chip like this that you can take off. It's actually soldered to the motherboard, mobile chip, which actually improves energy efficiency. And typically then they're running sodium, which means you can upgrade it. Unfortunately, though, it's not unified memory, so you can't upgrade it and then give more memory to the GPU, which would be a huge win. If you could do that, that would be sick. But I guess, yeah, it's kind of dumb. Valve is ripping me. I wonder, yeah, Valve's like watching my content. They're like, hey, mini PCs are popular now. Because if this dumbass is covering it and getting views, maybe I should. But anyways, yeah, so that's that. Now, positives. SteamOS, right? SteamOS has negatives. SteamOS does not run Game Pass natively. You can stream it, and I mean, you're going to be at home, so you're going to be on the internet, so you can install Game Pass Stream, which does work fine. You do get some artifacting and some latency issues, even on like the actual Steam Deck, which is an 800p little thing. You can see some artifacting, but you might get like faster, like potentially faster connection. So maybe that's going to be better, and you could stream from the Steam Deck. Stream to the Steam machine from like Xbox Cloud or whatever it's called, which I find actually does work well. I used it for years when the Steam Deck came out, but it's not a good solution. Third-party installers are getting better. I had a Steam Deck up until about 3 months ago, and I found it pretty good. I actually bought a Steam OS Legion Go S, and Ferdy, if he's still in the chat, he's going to get to play with it a little bit, and that's going to come to me because I want to have a Steam operating system handheld. And yeah, the third-party installers are getting better. Like you can install, I think you can do Rockstar. You can definitely do, can you do GOG? Maybe not. You can do Epic. I think you can do GOG. I don't think you can do GOG. But anyway, some of them work, some of them don't. But it's generally got better. So that's one thing. But the one saving grace of SteamOS is hyper-focused optimization. The Steam Deck is a turd. I love the Steam Deck. It's an amazing handheld, but it's a turd, like literally a steaming turd in terms of the specification. It is like 5 or 6 year old performance and low spec performance, right? Like the Steam Deck, it has no right playing the games that it can play, right? When games are not well optimized, look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example, on the Steam Deck. You're at 800p, 33% scaling, so it's like you have like 7 cubes to make up the whole screen. Then you also have, like lowest settings, and you're still barely pushing 30 FPS, right? It's like the worst experience you can possibly imagine. But then you get a game like Cyberpunk, Hogwarts Legacy, and it's very optimized. Like Valve is optimizing it with their operating system, and the game developers are also optimizing it. We're going to be probably pulling over a lot of that operating system optimization over to the new chips, which could potentially be why they didn't go with like RDNA 4 and change everything up, because there could be some type of architectural optimization that went on for the original Steam Deck, which I think is RDNA 2.5 or something weird like that, but that may not transfer over as well. Being able to transfer those years of optimization over goes far. When the Steam Deck came out, I was like an original Steam Deck owner. I actually pre-ordered it, and it was so bad. It was like a garbage handheld. It ran nothing. Everything ran like garbage. It was buggy. even games that like were like should have ran so bad. They ran so bad. And some of those games now run like infinitely better because it's just optimizing. And a lot of games wouldn't run at all when the Steam Deck came out. Like they were not supported. And nowadays we have actually pretty good, like not the whole Steam library, but a lot of it is supported. Obviously not everything, but it is supported. Yeah, Jimmy Mac. So we're actually looking at that now. I've kind of nailed it down to a 7600M, which is this here. This is the MXT eGPU. I'm going to equate the performance of an AMD 7600M laptop with it's a 7600 desktop, which is good, I suppose. It's a good CPU. So that's what you're kind of looking at, a 7600M or 7600 MXT. It will actually perform probably quite similar to the Ataman. Some people are popping in now. This is going to be roughly the performance. You can watch my review of the Ataman. I have other people have done reviews too. This has probably the exact performance. The CPU here is more powerful, but in gaming it won't matter. So I think that generally speaking, this is the performance we're going to get out of it. It's an Ataman is what it is. Yeah, the 8 gigabytes is going to be rough. The GPU is a little old. They say it's slightly more than 6 times faster than a Steam Deck, which isn't good. Like I was saying before, Steam Deck, there's some games where you're like, all right, we've got performance scaling on, we're at 800p, low settings, and you're getting crushed by 30 FPS. So let's multiply that by 6, right? Okay, now we can do 1080p probably at 60. That's my guess. It's a 1080p 60 GPU is what we're looking at here. Like the 7600M, you're looking at around there. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, a lot of people aren't AMD people. The 7600M is approximately as fast as a 4060 mobile, slightly faster. The AMD is slightly faster than a 4060 mobile just based on optimizations. So if you watch any of my reviews and you watch laptop reviews and that kind of stuff, look for 4060 mobile performance, maybe slightly faster. Not quite 5060, but in there, around between a 5060 mobile and a 4060 mobile. It'll be right in between that. But you do lose access to DLSS. So there'll be some trade-offs, right? You're going to be looking at a little bit better than 4060 mobile performance. I can almost guarantee you that right now. Without even having it, just based on my experience with mini PCs, these GPUs, other GPUs, small form factor, laptop, it's going to be like that. So if you get yourself a Legion 5 from 2024 and with a 4060 and whatever CPU, that's probably what you're looking at. Basically that. So that's that. But again, hyper optimization, right? So if you look at, let's take the ROG Ally X, or sorry, ROG Ally Original. It does not run Windows very well. It doesn't have enough memory, 16 gigabytes, not enough memory, unified memory at least for Windows. So that was a big upgrade, just, going to the Ally X where they just added 24 gigabytes of RAM. It made a huge difference for performance. So in this case, we're not going to be like system memory limited as much. So you can like probably compare it to an Ally X, something like that. But then you take your ROG Ally X and you take it from Windows, and let's say you were getting 30 FPS, then all of a sudden you go back to SteamOS with the same handheld, you might be taking that from 30 up to 45 FPS, right? If it was the original Ally, part of that would be, well, Steam is more efficient, you don't need as much memory, so you can get more VRAM, yada, yada, yada. Same with the Legion Go. But the Ally X, for example, had more memory anyway, so it was never the problem with it. But Steam is just more optimized, right? Especially once Steam started putting out, or Valve started putting out Z1 based handhelds like the Legion Go 2, the Legion Go S, which I just bought, and I made some posts for you guys to buy it because it's great. It has SteamOS, and it easily outperforms the original Go, even in Steam. Even in Windows, right? It's got Steam. It's got Steam, right? Like it has Steam. So that's, hey, Gamers Generation, what's up, man? Gamers Generation at the bottom of the chat. He also does, he does a lot of handheld stuff, more than me, but he'll probably be a pretty good resource for this stuff too, because he knows about this kind of performance. So Jason Bourne, the real Jason Bourne, says you can build an ITX box for the same price and better specs. Don't waste your money on this box. So yes, if you're talking about building, you can build this way cheaper. Like you could build this performance for way cheaper. You could buy this cheap performance for way cheaper. You could get yourself whatever basic mini PC you want, as long as it's 6-core, modern 6-core. This is like a 12-core? Can't remember. And get yourself a 7600 MXT eGPU with Oculink, and put them together, And this is probably around 350 to 400 bucks American. This is probably 200 bucks. So I mean, you're looking at around 600, maybe 700 if you're pushing it. And this is the same performance probably as the Valve Steam Machine. This combo right here, probably almost identically, to be honest. You can get yourself something like, I wish I could pick it up, but I have an Omen tower, a small Omen tower, 15 liter Omen tower, which is not that big. Maybe 2 of these. So it'll be a little bigger, but maybe like 2 of these boxes side by side. And it came with a 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte in it, which will be much faster than this, and a 8700G, so much faster than this. And that cost me 900 American dollars, brand new in box, tax in. So it was about 800 bucks. I'm trying to do the math here. Trying to do the math in my head. And it'll be much faster. But it runs Windows. So there's going to be 2 segments of people. This will be probably similar to the Z1 handheld with the 700 XOT. Yeah, so Gamers Generation is exactly right. If you take an eGPU like this and you hook it up to like an ROG Ally or something over USB 4 and put it out to your screen, or even better, Oculink, like this handheld here, it's going to be basically the same performance as this. It will basically be like this if I put it out to a screen. That's roughly what you're going to get, which is good. Jason Bourne says you have the Adaman. So you have the Adaman here, and you're not... I haven't put Bazite on it. Driver support, yeah. That's one of the other things here. I mean, you can get stuff like this, and yeah, it's great in Windows, but then you have to deal with Windows. And when you try to put Bazite on it or native Steam, it doesn't necessarily always work. It can be garbage. Yeah, Steam frame. So Gamer Generation says the Steam frame. I'm not a VR guy. I get motion sick, and he's interested in that. I don't. He's the guy to go for that. The CPU should be closer to a Z1 than a Z1 Extreme. Yeah, because the Z1 Extreme is an 8-core, right? The Z1 Extreme is based on the 8840U, which is an 8-core. The Z1 non-Extreme is a 6-core. Yeah, you're right. So you're probably actually correct. I don't think it's going to matter because it should have pretty good single core. And if you're at 4K, as they tell you to, you're going to be offloading a lot to the GPU. I don't think this is going to be that. I don't think people are going to be very happy with this at 4K, to be frank. I think they'll be okay, but I think a lot of people are going to be much happier with this thing at 1440p. And I think it will be pretty good at 1440p. SteamOS is an advantage and a disadvantage. The disadvantage is you can't install all the third-party software, other third-party installers. You can't do as much with things like shaders and mods. You still can through Steam especially, but not as much. It's not as easy. And Steam can actually be more confusing. So if you're doing Steam stuff with a Linux-based operating system and trying to tweak it, that's actually more confusing to the average person than getting Windows and tweaking it. Then on the flip side, just using the operating system is easier for Steam. So SteamOS is amazing at stock. So easy to use. It's amazing, super good, not confusing. You just use it. Once you start tweaking it, it becomes very confusing, even for me. I'm not a Linux guy. I understand enough Linux to I can do it, but it's not intuitive. On the flip side, Windows is the opposite. It's kind of garbage to use at stock, but if you want to start tweaking, it's really not that hard if you have a basic understanding. So that makes sense. The console normies will be okay with it. IC7. I fully agree. So I think this is going to be, I'm going to buy it. Gamers Generation is going to buy it. I'm sure he's going to buy it. A lot of us, like people who are into this enthusiast stuff, are going to buy it. I think that the average gamer bro, like PC gamer bro, is actually not going to buy it. So there's people like me. I just like mini PCs, especially small form factor stuff. I just like it. I find it interesting. I like handhelds. I like SteamOS. I like to tinker. I think I'm going to be pretty happy with it. And I know the limits of what it's going to do. Like, I just know it's not going to be super powerful. That will be fine. And then I think you have your console bros who are like the same people who buy the Steam Deck. Like the average Steam Deck buyer is not like a tech bro. They're a console bro. So they're going to buy the Steam Deck and they'll be like, I deal with these people all the time when I buy and sell stuff, talk to them in my Discord and YouTube. And they're like, I need a handheld because I like work night shift at like, the oil rig or whatever, wherever they work, like grocery store, it doesn't matter, business office, or I travel or I commute and I just want to be able to like game during my downtime because I'm so bored and I have no clue about gaming PCs. And I'm like, yeah, get a Steam Deck. You turn it on and you press the big button and the big button made game go, right? And as long as performance is like fine, like as long as you're getting 35 FPS at 4K, which is like what the Series S does. It's like a 30 FPS console. I think people will be happy with it. But I don't think the average PC, like true PC enthusiast, which is actually a lot of my audience, like a lot of you guys are into like gaming laptops, and a lot of you guys know like you can go and get like a $600 gaming laptop and shit on the Steam, like the Steam machine, and you can hook the gaming laptop up under your TV, right? Like you get an old 4060 gaming laptop, 5060 gaming laptop, and it's going to be like, it'll be probably around the same performance, maybe more, and then you get access to DLSS and all that. Stick it under your TV, and boom, where you go. Especially if you get one with a crappy screen, because who cares? You're hooking up to your TV, right? A lot of you guys will do that. Build yourself a PC, even get a custom build. Like a custom build, maybe it'll cost you like $800, but I've been seeing some refurbed custom builds with like a 4070 Super for like $900 American on eBay from good sellers, from Acer itself. Yeah, it's more expensive, but it's a 4070 Super. It's way faster, more VRAM. What are you guys saying in the chats here? COD. Okay, so COD and something. Okay, so Sam, you brought up another good point. COD and that kind of stuff might not even work on this handheld or on this mini PC. The reason is SteamOS doesn't work well with anti-cheat or at all. I'm pretty sure someone could probably quote me or misquote me and fix what I'm saying here in the chat, but I'm almost certain that Battlefield 6 doesn't work on the Steam Deck, like at all. It won't run because of anti-cheat. I think you have to dual boot Windows onto the Steam Deck, which still might not work because of the way that, what is that called? The storage, secure storage. I just completely lost the name of it in my head. Secure boot. Without secure boot, you can't run Battlefield 6, and Steam OS, I'm pretty sure, doesn't run. Yeah, Sam says it doesn't. So, that's the other thing. If you get, console shooter bro, like they're probably just gonna pick up a Series S for like actually $200. I know the prices have gone up, but they're all over Facebook Marketplace. You can get them for like $200, $250, and then grab yourself a $60 game, and you got $260, and you got yourself a dedicated COD or Battlefield console, which will probably be approximately as fast as the Steam machine. To be honest, I'm guessing it'll be around Series S performance, maybe a little better, but you're looking at 4K 30 native, so 4K 60 with a lot of scaling. So yeah, so Sam, when I was, I'm in the US right now visiting, but when I was in Canada, right before I left, I was seeing like tons of Series S for like $200. Some of them were like $150 Canadian, which by the way, for Americans is like $130 for a Series S. Like they're so cheap now. And then you can basically just do the same thing. So I think it's going to be a weird one because you're going to get people who want to, get Steam, and they're like, I can play COD and Battlefield. It's like, but actually you can't. And then they're like, okay, well, I'm going to get the Steam OS. I'm going to play 4K. I'm going to play, God of War or, Final Fantasy Rebirth or whatever game at 4K. And it's like, okay, you can, but you're going to be at like max scaling. So I think the console will be slightly saved by SteamOS optimizations, probably making it a little bit faster. And you might get a little bit of, well, if they allow FSR4, I don't know if they will, I have no clue. But if it allows FSR4, I think it will legitimately save the handheld, the mini PC. Because that's the biggest issue with handhelds. Like a lot of these handhelds, they don't run FSR4, so your scaling can be kind of shit, to be honest. But once you start, getting on a very big screen where you can actually like see all of the like glimmer and sparkle and all that kind of stuff, using a ton of scaling on a very large 4K screen can be a problem. Even though 4K scaling looks better than 1080p scaling, you can use more of it. It's just physically a very large screen, and you're going to probably see like shimmery type stuff if you're using FSR2 or whatever, FSR 2.1 versus FSR4. So let's see what else we have here. Maybe if you want mega bonk slots, daggers, i4 TV. So that was the other thing I was going to talk about. I forgot about emulation. I actually find SteamOS to be very good for emulation. So I've had all of the Windows handhelds, like actually getting to that point. And I've always found that emulation on the Steam Deck is just really good. EmuDeck, I use it on my handheld here. I use EmuDeck, but it's a Windows handheld, and I just find it like clunky and doesn't work as well. I really did enjoy running emulation on my Steam Deck, actually, like a lot, actually. It was fast enough, it worked well, and it was super streamlined. Being able to like integrate and make the like cards and all of that directly in your like other games category, I guess would be over here, your other games category, was actually pretty sweet. And then it's just super easy to set up. So I think emulation will be good. And IC7 says again about that. And I think part of that is going to be this here. Can you guys see my screen? All of a sudden I'm actually doing stuff over here. You have the storage. That's, I think, why, one of the reasons it has the micro SD card. Part of it could be, you know, moving games over, but I ain't gaming modern games, Windows games, Steam games on a storage this slow. Older games, fine, you know, indie games, fine, but I'm not going to be playing the most demanding games, especially that have like Unreal Engine. Like you're going to be just choking on like stutter and that kind of stuff. But emulation, like throw in a 1 or 2 terabyte here, load it. Millennia, hello. I saw your comment on one of my videos the other day. You asked me a question. I think I answered it, hopefully. Yeah, and then you can throw all your games on here. Like I can't even say the name because I'll get, like, they'll come for me and they'll show up at my house and kill me. But those guys, that big company who likes to go after people, you could throw all those games on there. You can throw the other ones on there that are also bad. Yeah, so I mean, emulation is going to be big here, I think, to be a thing. Let's kind of look at this stuff here while it's so flashy. It is cute. I mean, it's a little cuboid. Look at that valve thing on the front. Look at that wooden thing. I mean, I'm really heavily getting into the small form factor / mini PC. I'm not truly a small form factor guy, even though I have a B580i ITX that I'm going to be building with a 9950X3D, and I've done it a few times. But I go for like the larger ITX, like not a true micro small form factor. So it doesn't really compete. But I am very much into mini PCs. If you watch my channel, you know I put all those videos, and like some of you guys probably don't care, but I really like mini PCs. So this thing appeals to me. You guys remember Framework came out with the, whatever it's called, their mini PC. This thing should be as fast as that. Not in CPU tasks, not even close. That'll be way faster in computing tasks. But the 8060S kind of performs similar to a 4060, which means it kind of performs similar to a 7600. And my assumption, based on Gamers Nexus and my simple comment, and you guys have reaffirmed it, is probably this, which puts it above a 4060 anyways, which means it's probably going to be in gaming tasks approximately as fast as the Framework PC or like the GMK Evo X2 or the Minis Forum, whatever it's called, the X1 Pro, X2 Pro, with the AMD AI 395. That's probably roughly where you're going to be gaming. And for a little cuboid, I mean, it's fine. I took your advice and got the Legion 7 Gen 10. You got the white one, right, Millennia? I think it was the white one you were looking at, like the slimmer one. Anyways, it's really nice. I went back to a Legion, guys. I was using a ThinkBook forever, ThinkBook 14 Plus, and I finally said, you know what, this laptop is so good that I'm going to never move on with life, and I bought a Legion 5. I'm actually using it, but I have 2 of them, so I'll show you the other one. Just, it's not related to this, but I'm going to be doing comparative videos. So this is the 15-inch model of the Legion 5. This one has the AMD 350 CPU, which is newer. I never saw it before. And a 5070. The one that I'm on is the same PC, but it has a 5060 and an AMD 260. So slightly better CPU versus slightly better GPU. I'm going to compare that. I also have a Legion 5 Pro in the back with the AMD 8945HX. I'm getting back into laptops. I've kind of, as funny as this sounds, I was so into like the laptop that I had, the ThinkBook 14 Plus with the Oculink, that I was able to hook up to my desktop, that I kind of lost interest in doing laptop reviews because I was like, my laptop can do that. And now I'm like, no, this is stupid. Like, let's do what I used to do, where I actually buy the laptop, I use it for like a month, and then I do a review on it and I migrate over. That's how I do stuff now. So I'm getting back into the Legion stuff. Yeah, Melania, that laptop that you got is like the nicest laptop chassis ever made. I love the 7i in white. It's so clean. I bought one recently, but it was the previous year, but it had a 14900 HX and the battery was so bad I just got rid of it. But yours is good. Yours is really good. Could be cool. Windows dual boot. So that's the other thing too. So it does have swappable storage. So as insane as this sounds, I'm like kind of tempted to I'm going to get this thing regardless, but it'd be kind of cool to get this and put in like an 8 terabyte NVMe, which is stupid, but because the NVMe is like the price of the whole thing. And then, oh, look at this guy's doing work on it. And then, yeah, dual boot Windows and SteamOS. He's probably, is he in Windows? Or is that the Steam desktop? No, that's the Steam desktop. Okay. Yeah, because you can also just use Steam desktop. That's the other thing. Steam desktop is just Linux. So if you're okay with Linux, I can't use Linux, because my software that I use, I do GIS work like mapping, and it physically does not run on Linux at all. It's Windows only, so I have to have Windows. So for me, it's like a DOA operating system, but I can use it for like dicking around. But I would probably consider putting in an 8 terabyte in this and dual booting, which is, yeah, Galaxy Brain. Just when that singular storage costs more than the whole thing, and putting in like 96 gigabytes of RAM, which nowadays is like what, $400? No more than that. It's like $500. Just my storage and my memory costs double what the Steam machine does. Just no logic at all. Just lacking any form of compute because it's like a 6-core thing and doesn't matter. Just jack it up. You can become a streamer. If any of you guys are like wanting, hey, she has a Stream Deck beside her Steam thing. If you want to become a streamer, yeah, get into it. Oh, the controllers, yeah. So the controller looks sick. What do you guys think about the controller? I hope it comes with a controller. I really hope it comes with a controller. They're gonna like bundle it and they'll be like, yeah, $599 intro price, but $400 for the controller. Galaxy Brain, dual brute with a shared drive. Yeah, so Gamers Generation, like, you guys should click on his name in the chat if it lets you. He does way more handheld stuff than me. He is not so technical that it's hard to understand, but he's technical enough that you can get information out of it. So it's like me, like noob, high tech. Does that make sense? So it's easy to follow, but anyways, he'll probably do stuff that I won't do, so it's good. 700 terabyte. It will not come with a controller. Ooh, that's rough. I wonder what the price is going to be. Is it going to be like $5.99, like $4.99? No, there's no way. They're not going to put it at $4.99. Like $4.99, no controller, base model, nothing included. And then, $100 more for the controller, $200 more for, the higher storage, $300 more for the storage amount and the controller. I mean, you're getting into like desktop PC pricing. I can't talk about the VR. Not a VR guy. I get motion sick and will puke. So that's a Gamers Generation thing too. Steam frame. But according to Linus, I guess, from LTT, because I didn't click on his video, but there was a picture of him with like a flaming stupid thumbnail, but it's like, this is cheaper and better than the multi-billion-dollar company. So I think he's saying that it's significantly better than the Meta thing, whatever. Okay, so we got some more comments here. There will probably be multiple SKUs machine. Yeah. I mean, I'll get the controller. The controller will be amazing. If the controller is anything even remotely like the Steam Deck, which it looks to be, it's going to be amazing. Like nothing still to this day matches the Steam Deck. The only negative with the Steam Deck is the D-pad is like garbage. It's in a terrible location in the corner. Like, what? Who's going to I'm like gaming and all of a sudden I have to bring my thumb up to like weird mutilated grip when I'm playing like Super Mario and trying to use the D-pad. That was a bad call. But the way that you'll grip this, in theory, you'll be wrapped around a little bit more. I think it'll be okay. It looks super ergo, and dual touchpad is sick. So, and in theory, that'll work with, big Steam Big Picture on your, I hope, on your Windows machine as well. Who knows? I look like Justin Trudeau. That is the first time. It's the big nose. I'm Canadian as well. So, and my name is French, although I'm not French. So, and Trudeau, D-E-A-U, my name is Beau, B-E-A-U. So maybe he's my like long lost father, even though he's only like 8 years older than me or whatever. I'm going to have to like make a thumbnail now, and everything is going to be me and Trudeau as bros. He's with Katy Perry, and my partner's better looking. So what we got here? 16 gigabytes DDR5. Honestly, it's not bad in terms. I don't think we're going to run out of system memory. Steam OS uses like what, 2 gigabytes of system memory? I think it uses nothing. So I mean, you're going to be looking at at least 12 gigabytes probably for the game. And games are getting worse and worse. I've been noticing that games like recently this year are using a lot of system memory, where like 16 gigabyte laptops are actually like starting to like stress in Windows. I'm like, you have to get yourself a 24 or 32 gigabyte laptop now, because the system memory is also not enough. But a lot of that is because Windows is a bloated mess. I think SteamOS for years, that's going to be good for years for system memory. VRAM, not at 4K, sorry, just no. If you guys are new to the chat, some of the critiques I can go over in a second, but that's that. Wi-Fi 6 is fine. Bluetooth is fine. Display, I guess that's fine. 120. It's not going to be pushing. You can get VRR with HDMI 2.0. That's all that matters. So you can do 4K 120, which then therefore does VRR. I think it'll support VR. It doesn't say that it does, but your TV might. So hopefully it does. We'll find out about that. But like if you have 4K 120, theoretically that will allow you to do VRR. Maybe. FreeSync is fine. These are fine. It's slow, but it's fast enough. You'll be able to run a 10 gigabit per second. Where are we here? Where are you? 10 gigabit per second SSD. It's plugged into something. It's probably right there. This is a SATA based one, 500 megabytes a second. It'll be twice this fast. So it'll be fast enough to, you can actually run games off of the port. So if you don't want to get the large storage amount, you could theoretically get yourself an enclosure. I have so many. Or get yourself a pre-cooked one like the thing I just picked up and can no longer get out. There we go. And when SteamOS does support external storage, it's a little weird. It's a little bit weird, but I think you should be fine doing it. That's fine. I mean, it looks fine. 16 gigabytes. So Justin Trubro, yeah. Is it bad to get a thin gaming laptop with a powerful CPU and GPU because of the heat? Well, Melania, your laptop has either, I can't remember, but it has a 255HX or a 275HX. I don't remember which one you got, but they're basically the same chip. And there is a big difference this year between a 255HX, 275HX versus previous 13th and 14th gen Intel because they're more efficient. Meaning they park better, you get better battery life, all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is when you lower the wattages on a 275HX or a 255HX to like, let's say 30 or 40 watts, it doesn't implode. It doesn't choke. It can still be a beast at that performance level, meaning that's, let's say 30 or 35 watts on the CPU over here, meaning you can still give all those extra watts that are needed to the GPU, the 5060 or the 5070, whichever one you have, give it 100 to 110 watts. And therefore, between the two of them combined, let's say 35 and 110, you're still at like 140 watts for the whole system. The Legion's cooling system is up to the task to cool that, right? If you have a CPU that's running at 200 watts and a GPU that's running at 150 watts, like, I don't know, an Alienware M18 or something like that, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of heat, right? So then it's a problem. But the thing is the laptop is much thicker and has better cooling. In your specific case, your laptop, it's not a problem because the GPU is efficient and so is the CPU. So you're not going to run into heat issues. You can just run yours in balance mode or custom mode, but even under performance mode, you'll be fine. But if you're worried about it, you can put into custom mode or balance and you'll lose like 3 frames. I wouldn't worry about it. That's true. The 5080 in a thin laptop will run very hot, like the G16, G15, G14, it will run very hot. So you're either going to have to get lower wattage, which nerfs the performance, or you let it run super hot. 5060 is a good GPU. It's a very good GPU. I have no problems with the 5060. It runs just fine. How much RAM will Steam Machine come with? 32 gigabytes or faster? So it has 16 IC7. I think I have that here. Yeah, so 16 gigabytes. But it's DDR5 SODIMM. SODIMM. Unless I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Gamers Nexus said it's SODIMM. So it's SODIMM. So you can just upgrade it. Now, memory is super expensive right now. Like crazy expensive. So if you're going to buy this thing, maybe grab yourself a 32 gigabyte kit right now. Yes, Melania, the X16 R2 4080 will run very hot. Absolutely. It does run hot. So I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't get it. Okay, so people who pop back in, I'll just quickly go over this. I'll probably end in a couple minutes, but let's summarize again. So, oops, I didn't mean to close that. Where did you go? Where did you go? There you are. Okay, so in summary, we have a tiny little machine that is with a CPU. We're thinking the CPU is probably almost exactly a 7600 desktop, which is fine. It's not a compute monster, but it's fine for gaming, especially at 1440p and especially at 4K. They're selling this thing as a freaking 4K with heavy asterisks for, I don't remember where it was, heavy asterisks for 4K is what they say. Okay, so you're going to be at 4K, which is a TV. The GPU here, they didn't specify if it's 8x2 or 16x1. They didn't actually, but it's not a big deal. I'll talk about that for a second. DDR5 memory, it'll be DDR5 memory. DDR5 memory runs in dual channel with one stick. Is this DDR5? Yeah, this is DDR5. So this is a DDR5 stick. One stick of memory, if you put this into your computer, runs in dual channel. Whereas back in the day with DDR4 memory did not do that. So if I had a stick of DDR4 memory, which I will get out here, that's a DDR4 stick. If I slapped this into my computer, just the one, you'd get a huge performance penalty. So because you want to have them paired. You want to have one stick and then another stick. They run in dual channel, single channel. The other one makes a dual channel. It runs faster. That's why a lot of times people would say, don't put a single stick of memory in your laptop if it was DDR4, older memory. DDR5, you'll actually find that a lot of laptop makers are shipping with a single stick these days. Lenovo does it, Dell does it. The reason why they do that, they ship it with one single stick of 16, for example, is because it already runs in dual channel at baseline. So you don't get very much performance hit by taking away that second stick. When you go from one stick to two sticks on DDR5 memory, there is a performance bump, but it's not like 30%. It's like 3%. So a lot of the time they'll ship it with a single stick of like 8 or a single stick of 16, which depending on the brand, that means you can grab the same stick. You can go online and just grab the same stick, plop it in, boom, you're cooking. I don't know what Valve is going to do, but I think both are fine. It'd be nice if it shipped with a single 16 and it had an empty slot, as crazy as that sounds, because then you could just get a 16 gigabyte stick and slap it in, rather than taking out what it has, throwing it away, and buying two sticks. I give great laptop advice. Yeah, because I use them, and I'm broke most of the time, because I buy them. So I don't know. I meant as if it's, yeah, so gamer generation, yeah, exactly. So exactly as you're saying, if it comes with a single 1x16, I kind of like that, because then you can just get another 16 gigabyte stick and there's no wastage. Whereas if it comes with two eights and you unupgrade it, you take those out, then you just have these random sticks of memory. I actually have a box of RAM like here, and these are pulled from laptops. Like I buy them with like 2x8, and then I upgrade the laptop before I sell it to somebody here. And it's like, when I just have all these random 8 gigabyte sticks, like what am I going to do with these? So let's see if they do that. Okay, so a couple more questions. Hyphy. Do you think the gaming laptop is superior for gaming than something like the Legion Go 2? Well, okay, that's a very loaded question. I will be honest, I'm using a Legion laptop right now. I'm on a Legion laptop. I have a Legion laptop there. I have another one over there, and I have another one over there. And I do game on my Legion laptops, but I game way less on my Legion laptops than I game on my handheld. Part of that is because I spend all day on my computer. Like I work on my computer all day. I do YouTube videos on my computer. I edit on my computer, and I hunt deals. I consider hunting deals part of my job for myself, but also for, hey, Safeway, you're a garbage company, but also for like the community. I hunt deals for the community. So I'm on my computer all day. The last thing I want to do is then be like, all right, work time's done, and then be like, all right, let's get out of here, and then fire up Final Fantasy or something. I don't want to do that. It's there, but I don't want to do it. So for me, I disconnect from my computer and I grab handheld, whatever handheld I have at the time, because it then allows, it's same as consoles. I actually like to game on consoles a lot because it allows me to disassociate what I'm doing for work from the gaming part. So I have Nintendo Switch. This is an OLED Switch. I have a handheld there. I just like the fact of like being able to potato and do that. I also really like the fact that I'm able to potato and game on a handheld, and it's just like actually, recline, garbage, go like that. My partner can be watching TV, a movie on the side. I'm not taking the TV from her. I'm on this thing, which you could also do with a gaming laptop. Same idea. But it's just the disassociation for me of moving away from my laptop. Now, I do still play some games on my laptop because I play a lot of strategy games, top-down strategy games, something like Diablo as well, like a hack and slash. I'm not going to play that on a handheld. It runs okay on a handheld, but I want to play it like that. Shooters, I actually play on I play on a joystick. I don't like to play shooters on a mouse and keyboard. I never grew up like that because my computer when I was a kid was garbage. It wasn't capable. So I always liked the handheld. So I would say try it. Try a handheld. Like get yourself a Legion Go S Steam Edition or something. Or did you say one here? Legion Go 2. Legion Go 2 is real expensive. So if you're going to get yourself a Legion Go 2, make sure it's from like Best Buy so you can return it if you don't like it and give it a try. It's not going to give you the performance that you're going to get on a laptop. Not even close. But it's a smaller screen. It's more intimate. You're more intimate with the device. And I find that it's just more enjoyable. Give that a try. If you really enjoy it, you can absolutely mainline it. You will lose out on some of the stuff like, point and click. If you play a lot of point and click games, StarCraft, that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're not as fun to play on a handheld, obviously, versus like a gaming laptop. But I went 6 months without a gaming laptop. I just finally got myself a gaming laptop again. I was using the ThinkBook 14 Plus, and it had good integrated graphics, but the integrated graphics were basically as powerful as this. So I do most of my gaming here. So it's a tough question. I would say give it a try. If you don't like the Legion Go 2, then you can return it. But handheld gaming is not for everybody, to be honest, and neither is laptop gaming, right? A lot of people don't like laptop gaming because you have a hot laptop on your lap. Most of the days, these laptops run so well in like silent mode. Like I never use my Legion in performance mode ever, because I just want to be quiet on my lap, and it runs nice and quiet. So would an RX 4070 run cooler than an Alienware X16? Yes, it would, Millennia, because it will be capped theoretically at 100 to 115 watts versus 150 watts. Watts means hots. So higher watts, GPUs that require higher watts to perform well, 5090, 5080, 5070 Ti, 4090, 4080. The 50 stuff, the 60 stuff, and the 70 stuff, so 4050, 5050, 5060, 5070, all of these run at low watts. There's no benefit of going even over 100 watts. It doesn't do anything. Putting 100, then going up to 115 or 120 watts on a 5070 doesn't do anything. You might get like one frame, and you might actually get less performance because it's going to get hot and then throttle. The other tier, that's the separation. That's the efficient tier. Then you have the non-efficient tier, not as efficient tier. You know, the 5080, the 5090, these type things, the 5070 Ti, where you do want to add more watts to them because adding more watts adds more power. It also makes it hotter. So you need a thicker chassis. So I just recently had a G16 with a vapor chamber and all this stuff, and I had a 5070 Ti, and it was like very borderline of like, this runs pretty hot. And so as a result, they actually decreased the wattage on the 5070 Ti, and it lost a ton of performance. If that same laptop had a 5070, it would actually perform very similar, but it has less VRAM. So it's tough. Mercury's on a Legion. Good. Big portability versus performance trade-off. Yeah, Gamers Generation nailed it. I'm a portable guy, which is funny because I play all my games at home. I go nowhere. Like, I have no life. I just like walk my dogs. I'm not gaming when I walk my dogs. But portability in terms of like the ability to become a garbage potato, like on my couch, chin locked, absolutely no mobility, like bad ergonomics. I don't care. That's how I want to game most of the time, just like this. And so for me, that's handheld. I just love it. Or console. Or you can hook your Legion up to your TV. Same idea. Jar Jar is here. Hello, Jar Jar. You want the new VR? VR is not my thing. Talk to Gamers Generation. If I were to hook up VR, I would immediately vomit. Like, as the VR went on my head, I would projectile vomit. I have very bad motion sickness. It's so bad. PS3 emulation. Yeah, I wonder how PS emulation is on the Steam Deck. It's been so long. Now, this has more cores than the Steam Deck, right? Does it? Yeah, the Steam Deck is a 4-core. Oh my god, am I wrong? Am I just that out of it? CPU. Am I actually this garbage? 4 Zen 2 core. Yeah, 4. Okay, yeah. So it has 50% more cores than the Steam Deck and much better cores. So it will be much faster in terms of CPU performance than the Steam Deck. And emulation does utilize, most emulation actually uses a CPU, just so you know. It doesn't actually use the GPU at all. Like GPU emulation is like when you get to like very modern stuff. Older stuff, like even PS1, that kind of stuff, that's pure just CPU. Like the way that the emulation layers work, it's just CPU. So having a more powerful CPU means, yes, games from company that starts with N, for example, their later stuff will run much better on this than a Steam Deck. And then PS3 will leverage 3D hardware. However, PS3 emulation is really bad, but this will do better than a Steam Deck. I just haven't used the Steam Deck for PS3 emulation ever. I've never done it, unfortunately. I have a PS3 and it's modded, so maybe that's why. Yeah, so you returned your 4080. Yeah, your laptop is better. Honestly, the only negative with your laptop, Millennia, yeah, I keep saying your name weird, Millennia, is because it's glossy. I have coped. Gamers Generation has been bombarding me and pestering me and harassing me to the point I have a restraining order on him online to say the OLED word because he keeps telling me. I don't like OLED that much because it's always glossy and I hate glossy screens. But every laptop in 2025 is glossy and I have finally caved. I do also have my even bigger nemesis than glossy is black. This is the same laptop. Look at those fingerprints. The laptop that I'm using right below there is the same laptop as this, just with a different CPU and GPU config because I'm doing a comparison video. Look at that. I've had this for one day and I'm not a greasy boy. Look at that filth. And then we have this, like, look at this filth. Look at that. Look at that mirror. Just two things that I hate and I bought it anyways and I'm using it. So he caved. He got me to cave. The only negative with your laptop, Millennia, is that it's glossy. Otherwise, it's an amazing screen. Yeah, if you're not in, I realize that I don't work in an outdoor environment that much, so the glossy is not that big of an issue. It is a problem when I do reviews. That's why it bothers me because I often do like live reviews where I'm reviewing like an NVMe enclosure. Like this is one that I'm working on right now. I just decided to stream, and I test it with this laptop because it's USB 4, and the whole time I'm recording, it's just my dumbass face like in the laptop reflected, and then afterwards I'm like, because I'm not looking at the laptop, I'm looking at this, and I realize my stupid ass face is reflected the whole time. It drives me crazy. So that's my biggest issue with glossy. Do you own any Alienware laptops? Not right now. I have owned this year the Alienware 16, which was good. The Alienware M. No, that's the only one that I owned. They loaned me 18-inch Aurora. No, 18-inch Area 51. That was a really nice laptop. They loaned me that. Really, really nice. That had to go back, obviously. And then I've owned, in this last year, I owned the previous generation, R2, M16 R2, which is also a really nice laptop with a 4060 and a 4070. You can get those for a really good price right now. And yes, Command Center is horrible. Yes. Unfortunately, this is a Legion, so what am I doing here? Unfortunately, like when it comes to like the command type systems, Lenovo is the best. It's just good. Where did that go? It just is really good. It's back there. You can see I hid my taskbar because it's an OLED. I want to get that burning. What? Where are you? Yeah, and Lenovo stuff is good. There we go. Very good. Of course, you have Vantage as well. Lenovo Vantage is good for like operating system stuff. This is really good management software. Alienware is way behind, and I've actually had issues with Alienware like crashing out, like hard crashing out the command center, and I had to reinstall Windows once to get it to work again. But I think that was me. I always break stuff because I'm just like, what does this do? But it's not as clean. It's okay. It's not as clean. The HP one looks messy. HP, whatever it is, Omen software looks messy, but it is actually pretty good. And HP has the same idea where they have like, I don't know, like, you know, they're the updating software here where you can update your software, and then they have their tweaking software, but nothing beats Lenovo. Like Lenovo Legion, this here is amazing. Actually, the MSI Claw, the new one is okay. It's way better than it used to be. So, I mean, sadly enough, or as good as enough as it is, handhelds have improved laptop, like tweaking here. Because like this is straight from the Legion Go 1. And ROG Ally had really good tweaking software as well. And so we've got to the point now where these software have actually been pulled from the handheld and become more streamlined. And it's not too bloated, Vantage. Yeah, Gamer Generation. It used to be, but it's not bloated. Maybe because they separated Vantage out from Legion space, whereas back in the day you had to do all your tweaking in Vantage, so there was too much. Now they're separated. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'll just conclude here. I'll go back real quick. So what I'm thinking about the Steam Machine here, it's going to be good. I think it's going to be expensive. I would like to see it be $499 USD for the very base model. They add, I don't know, 50 to 100 bucks for the controller, whatever the controller is worth. And then that puts it at 550 or 600. Then of course you can buy into more storage, because I think a lot of people would buy it for 500 bucks, or let's say 550 with a controller. You don't have to buy a controller because you can use Windows controllers, like an Xbox controller will work. So I think that'll be okay. It's not going to give you don't think this thing is going to be a beast. You're going to get you can watch my review of the Atom Man here, the Atom Man. Skip out like, you know, on the Windows type stuff that I'm doing, but just get to the gaming section. This is roughly where you're going to get. I think it's going to have the exact same GPU, which is this here, the 7600M or 7600 MXT, about that, which is an 8GB GPU. If you're an NVIDIA guy, that's going to put it around a 4060 mobile, slightly faster than a 4060 mobile, probably just behind a 5060 mobile. So if you're like Millennia here and you have yourself a brand new Legion with a 5060, that laptop will be faster than this here, because it's going to have a slightly faster GPU and a way better CPU. But I still think the performance is okay. They are marketing it as a 4K machine. I don't think that makes sense, because you're going to need a ton of scaling at 4K. And as a few people in the beginning mentioned, 8GB of VRAM is not enough, even at 4K with scaling. 1080p, 8GB is possible to exceed, but you can just run some scaling and you're fine. 1440p, it's actually not that hard to go over 8GB. You can tweak the settings, you can put them down to medium, throw in a little bit of scaling, and yeah, you can do it. And the GPU will be fine at 1440p. It's a 4060, basically. Similar to a 4060 desktop, would actually be probably the closest to this. Probably very close to a 4060 desktop, which you can do 1440p. You just got to use some scaling to get the VRAM down. But at 4K, you're going to need a lot of scaling and you're going to need a lot of lowering settings to make it work. SteamOS is optimized very well, so that could help. But I mean, it doesn't help with VRAM. Textures are textures, right? So we'll see how much that works. I think the operating system is going to be the biggest draw here. People are going to buy this thing and just game on it. I think it's going to be a fairly narrow window of who wants this. It'll be people like me who are like small form factor mini PC enthusiasts who like to tinker with stuff. Then you'll have people who want a plug and play console like experience but aren't doing competitive shooters. The reason I say that is because this is not going to be able to run stuff like Battlefield 6 because SteamOS does not have anti-cheat support and you won't be able to run Battlefield 6. So I think it's going to be a bit of a hard sell. I do think it's going to sell well because look at how the Steam Deck sold, right? Like people were kind of crapping on it and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And Steam Deck, it wasn't the first like handheld gaming handheld, but it pretty much revolutionized like gaming handhelds and made them popular. So I think it's going to do that. I don't think this is going to make small form factor Steam-based machines revolutionary because it's a different market. The Steam Deck is something you take with you, so it fills a void. People who already have a gaming PC, desktop, or laptop, or have something like that, they want something they can take with them in game on the go in a handheld. So it's not going to fill that void. So I don't think it's going to be as popular, but I do think it's going to be pretty cool. I think price is going to be the biggest thing, though. If they get the price down well, I think it'll do well. I'm going to buy it regardless. But just think about it like if you're one of my laptop viewers, you're looking at probably around a 4060 Legion. That's probably around the performance you're going to get here. If you're a desktop gamer, you're going to be looking at probably around a 4060 desktop. Probably somewhere around there because they're actually technically the same chip. And if you're like a mini PC person, one of you guys, you're looking at something like the Atom Man here. That's probably what we'll get out of it. So that's the stream, I guess. Thanks for checking in. I haven't streamed for a million years. I might do it more often if people enjoy it. Maybe like live game testing, building a PC, testing stuff. I don't know. If I'm here and I'm able to stream, I will. So thanks, guys. It was good talking with people and live. It's always nice to do that. And yeah. And a lot of this information, by the way, just as a final thing, came from Gamers Nexus. Watch this video, Valve Steam Machine, blah, 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 because they met with them in person. So this is not my information. This is their information, but I am able to extrapolate from their information and my knowledge of this stuff and make concluding remarks like it's probably going to be this year. Anyways, adios.